Still think you can marry into this family? Victoria Gilmore's laugh, sharp as broken glass, rang out across the grand ballroom. 500 guests turned as one, the hush of moneyed whispers swelling like a storm. At the altar, Danna Gillespie stood in her wedding dress, champagne still dripping from an earlier accident. The groom, Bristol Gilmore, heir to the empire, stared at the marble floor, his jaw tight, his silence cutting deeper than any insult. He let his mother strip Danna bare before the world. A girl from Brownsville? Whose mother scrubs toilets in the Gilmore Tower? Victoria's words dripped with venom. Pathetic. Did you think a cheap education would rewrite your bloodline? Laughter rippled through the guests, cruel and eager. Phones rose discreetly, capturing the humiliation of a woman who dared to stand here. Everyone waited for Danna to break, to bow her head in shame. Instead, she lifted her chin. A slow, dangerous smile curved across her lips, a smile that made even the most powerful CEO in the room falter, because no one knew what storm Danna Gillespie was about to unleash on the Gilmore dynasty. Subscribe now to witness how one woman brought down an empire. This story will change how you see power forever. 6 months earlier, Manhattan's skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows of the Gilmore penthouse. The $80 million property overlooked Central Park, where autumn leaves fell like burning gold. The Steinway piano's melody floated through rooms decorated with Basquiat originals. Bristol Gilmore stood beside a woman who didn't belong here. At least, that's what his mother's expression screamed. Danna wore a simple black dress from Zara, her natural hair pulled back in a modest bun. She held her wine glass, the wrong wine glass, according to Victoria, with both hands, like she was afraid it might slip. "So, Miss Gillespie?" Victoria's voice dripped honey laced with arsenic. "Bristol tells me you work in technology?" The way she said technology sounded like sanitation. "I work with data systems." Danna's voice remained steady, calm. Nothing glamorous. Victoria's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "How refreshing. Most girls who pursue my son tend to embellish their accomplishments." Most girls, not most people. The implication hung heavy as Manhattan smog. Bristol's phone buzzed. An email notification. "Urgent, DD Holdings acquisition deadline approaching." He swiped it away without reading. "Mother, Danna graduated MIT, summa cum laude, at 21. Victoria's smile tightened. "MIT? How wonderful. Did you have one of those special programs for diversity?" The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Danna's fingers tightened on the crystal. Inside her chest, a familiar fire burned, the same flame that ignited when her father died. Denied emergency care at 3 hospitals. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong insurance. But she smiled. Yes, the program for people with perfect SAT scores. Bristol laughed nervously. His hand found Danna's back, a gesture meant to comfort. It only highlighted how alone she stood in this marble mausoleum. "Where did you grow up, dear?" Victoria circled like a shark scenting blood. "Brooklyn." "Oh," one syllable. Devastating. "Which part?" "Brownsville." Victoria's eyebrows climbed toward her $3,000 hairline. "Brownsville? How authentic." The Macallan whiskey in Victoria's tumbler caught the light. 50-year-old scotch that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She sipped it while studying Danna like a specimen under glass. "Your parents must be so proud. What do they do?" Danna's mother cleaned offices. 60 hours a week, hands destroyed by industrial bleach, knees ruined from scrubbing floors, including, ironically, the Gilmore Industries building downtown. "My mother works in building maintenance. My father passed." "Building maintenance," Victoria repeated it slowly, savoring. "How noble." Bristol's phone buzzed again. "DD Holdings. Final notice. Delete." The engagement announcement would happen in 3 months. Victoria insisted on a proper timeline to prepare society. Translation, time to convince Bristol this was beneath him. You know, Victoria poured another whiskey, the Gilmore name carries certain expectations. We're not just wealthy, dear, we're legacy. 5th generation New York. Our blood built this city. Blood. Always blood with these people, as if money could purify DNA. Danna thought of the email she'd sent earlier. Execute contingency planning. Maintain cover. Her team of 500 employees at Danna Dynamics had no idea their CEO was standing in enemy territory, being dissected by a woman who confused cruelty with class. I understand completely, Mrs. Gilmore. Do you? Because Bristol's wife won't just be a spouse. She'll be a Gilmore. That means charity galas, board positions, the Met Museum committee. Can you navigate that world, Miss Gillespie? Can someone from Brownsville truly understand? Each pause around Brownsville felt like a slap. Bristol finally spoke. Mother, enough. I'm simply getting to know your friend. Friend. Not fiancé, not even girlfriend. Friend. Danna's phone vibrated. A text from Marcus, her lawyer. Acquisition papers ready. $800 deal locked. Awaiting your signature. She didn't check it. Instead, she smiled at Victoria Gilmore with perfect, practiced calm. You're right, Mrs. Gilmore, I could never understand your world, but she would destroy it. The engagement party 3 months later transformed the Gilmore ballroom into a monument to excess. 200 guests cluttered the space like expensive ornaments. Orchids flown from Thailand. Champagne that cost more per bottle than minimum wage workers made in a week. Danna stood at the entrance wearing a dress from a Brooklyn boutique. Beautiful, elegant, but not designer. The whispers started immediately. Is that really her? The girl from Brooklyn? Bristol must have lost his mind. Victoria Gilmore commanded the room's center, draped in Valentino couture. Her laugh rang out, sharp, deliberate, every time she looked at Danna. Ladies, come meet Bristol's companion. Companion, like a paid escort. The circle of women closed around Danna. Predators in pearls. Their eyes catalogued every detail, the non-designer dress, the simple jewelry, the natural hair that refused to straighten despite the humidity. Such an interesting choice of dress, Mrs. Worthington cooed. So brave. Where did you summer growing up? Mrs. Marcus Harvard asked. Not where did you vacation. Where did you summer? As if it were a verb only they could conjugate. I worked summers. McDonald's mostly. The silence stretched like a wound. Then Victoria laughed, high and bright and vicious. McDonald's, how formative. Bristol stood across the room, trapped between his Harvard roommates. He saw his mother's circle tightening around Danna. His feet didn't move. You know, Victoria's voice carried deliberately, ensuring everyone could hear. When Bristol was young, we worried he might make unfortunate choices, rebellious phases. Thank God he outgrew them. The implication landed like a fist. Danna was a phase, a rebellious mistake. Tell me, Miss Gillespie, what exactly does your mother clean? Victoria swirled her champagne. Office buildings, you said? Yes. How industrious. Does she work for one of those companies? The ones with the yellow uniforms? Everyone knew those companies. The ones that hired immigrants, the desperate, the undocumented. She works for Clean Bright Services? Clean Bright! Victoria's eyes lit with malicious delight. They clean our building. The Gilmore Industries Tower. How funny. Your mother might have scrubbed my toilet. The laughter erupted. Explosive, cruel. 200 faces turned to watch Danna's humiliation. Phones appeared, subtle but recording. Someone would post this. The black girl from nowhere who thought she could marry up. Then Victoria did it. She stumbled. Her champagne, $500 a bottle, arced through the air in slow motion. The golden liquid splashed across Danna's dress, drenching the fabric until it clung to her skin. "Oh my God!" Victoria's gasp was performance art. "How clumsy of me! But honestly, dear, that dress, it's almost an improvement." The room exploded in laughter. Danna stood there, champagne dripping, dress ruined, 200 people laughing at her. Where was Bristol? There, still standing with his friends, his face pale, his mouth opening and closing like a dying fish, but his feet remained planted in expensive Italian leather. Silent. "Security," Victoria called out. "Please bring Miss Gillespie some towels from the service closet. She'll know the brand. Her mother probably orders them wholesale." Marcus stood in the corner, his phone recording everything. Nobody noticed the lawyer in the Tom Ford suit. Nobody ever noticed the Asian man who didn't speak. Danna's phone vibrated. "All systems ready. Say the word, Marcus." She didn't reach for it. Instead, she stood perfectly still as champagne dripped onto marble floors. The same floors her mother had probably cleaned. The same building where her mother's knees had worn out scrubbing. "You know what's interesting, Mrs. Gilmore?" Danna's voice cut through laughter like a scythe through wheat. Everyone stopped. "What's that, dear?" Victoria smirked. "How certain you are that I don't belong here." "Well, obviously, 6 months. You've had 6 months to Google me, to run a background check, to do basic due diligence on the woman your son loves." Victoria's smile faltered slightly. "But you didn't, because you saw my skin and assumed you knew my worth." The room held its breath. Danna smiled. "Your laziness is about to cost you everything." Then she turned and walked toward the exit, champagne still dripping, leaving Victoria Gilmore standing in sudden, uncertain silence. The wedding day arrived like an execution date. St. Patrick's Cathedral had been transformed into a garden of white roses and gold ribbons. 500 guests filled the pews: Wall Street titans, senators, old money aristocrats. Danna stood in the bridal suite. Her wedding dress, a simple design she'd bought herself, hung perfectly. No designer label, no $50,000 price tag, just elegant fabric on dark skin. Victoria burst through the door without knocking. Behind her, 3 women: Bristol's sister Charlotte, his Aunt Margaret, and his grandmother Eleanor, the Gilmore women, a tribunal in designer black. "We need to talk." Victoria's voice could freeze blood. "The ceremony starts in 30 minutes. It doesn't have to start at all." The words hung like a noose. Charlotte stepped forward, iPhone in manicured hands. "We know about your mother, the immigration issues, the fake Social Security number she used in 1995. Danna's heart stopped, then resumed, steady. "That was resolved 20 years ago. She's been a citizen since. The internet doesn't care about context." Margaret's smile could cut glass. "Imagine the headlines. Gilmore heir marries daughter of illegal immigrant. Bristol's political career would end before it began." They'd investigated her mother, dug through decades of pain and struggle, weaponized a frightened woman's desperate choice to feed her child. "Then there's your brother." Eleanor's voice creaked like old wood. "Jerome, currently in Rikers for possession. A gram of marijuana in a state where it's now legal. Criminal is criminal." Victoria circled Danna like a vulture over carrion. "Your cousin Deshawn, shot by police during a traffic stop. The media called him a person of interest in local gang activity. He was reaching for his registration. He was 16. The story writes itself. The Gilmore name connected to gangs, drugs, violence, everything your people bring. Your people. There it was. Mask off, hood on. Here's what happens now." Victoria pulled out a check. $500,000. You take it. You leave. You never contact Bristol again. "No." "No?" Charlotte laughed. "You think you have a choice?" "I know I do." Victoria's face darkened. You gold-digging ghetto whore. The slur cracked through the air like a whip. Your mother scrubs toilets. Your father died because he couldn't afford real health care. Your entire bloodline is worthless. Welfare queens and criminals. You think a degree changes your DNA? You think fucking my son elevates you? Each word was violence, precise, practiced. You're an infection, a disease, and I will not let you contaminate the Gilmore bloodline. Margaret opened the door. Bristol, come explain reality to your mistake. Bristol entered. His tuxedo cost more than most annual salaries. His face was marble, beautiful and cold. Danna. He couldn't meet her eyes. Maybe this is for the best. The betrayal hit harder than champagne, harder than slurs. The man who claimed to love her wouldn't even look at her. You're choosing them? I'm choosing reality. We're from different worlds. You said my world was beautiful. I was confused. Mother's right. This won't work. Victoria smiled triumphantly. You have 10 minutes to leave, or I call ICE on your mother. Yes, she's legal now. But investigations are so traumatic. Her employer might let her go. Accidents happen during raids. Threatening her mother, the woman who'd sacrificed everything. Danna's phone buzzed frantically. Urgent. All financial channels ready. Awaiting authorization, Marcus. She pulled it out slowly. Victoria sneered. Calling for help? Nobody's coming. Danna typed 3 words. Execute it now. Within seconds, every phone in the room exploded with notifications. Bloomberg. Breaking. DD Holdings announces termination of Gilmore Industries partnership. Wall Street Journal. Mystery firm pulls $800 million from Gilmore Development. CNBC. Gilmore stock plunging on contract cancellation. Victoria's phone rang. The board of directors. What did you do? Her voice cracked. What you forced me to. Danna's smile could have melted steel. By the way, you should have Googled me. Bristol's face drained white. Danna, what's happening? Your education in different worlds is about to begin. She walked past them, wedding dress pristine except for memory of champagne. Behind her, the Gilmore empire started burning. The cathedral erupted into chaos. 500 phones buzzed simultaneously like an electric swarm. The organ music stopped mid-note. The priest stood frozen at the altar, Bible forgotten. Danna walked down the aisle, not running, not rushing, each step deliberate as a queen approaching her throne. The wedding dress she'd bought with her own money swept across marble floors that had witnessed centuries of vows. Today, they'd witness something else. DD Holdings? Senator Morrison's voice cut through the noise. That's the firm that bought half of Manhattan last year. They own the Singapore Towers, whispered a Fortune 500 CEO. The London development, the Tokyo complex. Every major player in the room knew DD Holdings, the mysterious company that appeared 2 years ago with unlimited capital, the ghost that haunted boardrooms, the power nobody could identify. Victoria chased after Danna, her Louboutin heels clicking like machine gun fire. Stop, you can't leave. The ceremony is canceled. Danna didn't turn around. You signed a prenup. I signed nothing. Bristol grabbed Danna's arm. His touch felt like betrayal wrapped in Armani. Danna, please, let's discuss this. Whatever you think you're doing. She looked at him, really looked. The man who'd stood silent while his mother called her worthless, who'd chosen bloodline over love. I'm doing what I should have done 6 months ago. Which is? Showing you who I really am. Marcus materialized from the crowd, briefcase in hand, Tom Ford suit impeccable. The guests parted like the Red Sea. Some recognized him, the lawyer who'd negotiated the Tesla merger, who'd restructured Apple's Chinese operations. Ms. Gillespie. His voice carried perfect professional distance. The board requires your presence. Board? Victoria's laugh cracked with hysteria. What board? Marcus opened his briefcase. Legal documents spilled out. each one stamped with the DD Holdings seal, two interlocked Ds that suddenly looked familiar. Danna's initials. The board of DD Holdings, also known as Danna Dynamics, the company that currently controls 60% of your Manhattan Plaza development. Silence. Absolute. Suffocating. Then, from the back of the cathedral, "Holy shit! She's Danna Richards!" The name rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Danna Richards, the ghost CEO, the woman who'd built a tech empire from nothing, who'd turned data analytics into billions, who'd stayed invisible while becoming one of the most powerful people in tech. "That's impossible," Victoria's voice shook. "She's from Brooklyn. Her mother cleaned—" "My mother does clean buildings." Danna finally turned around. The afternoon light through stained glass windows created a halo effect around her. "She taught me that honest work has dignity, something your family never learned." A phone rang, then another, then dozens. "My broker says Gilmore stock is crashing. The Tokyo partners are pulling out. Goldman wants an emergency meeting." Bristol stood frozen, his Harvard MBA useless in the face of this revelation. Your DD Holdings?" "I'm Danna Dynamics, a company worth $50 billion. The company that bailed out your father's failing development project, the company that owns your future." Margaret stumbled forward, champagne from the reception already on her breath. "This is fraud! You lied!" "I never lied. You never asked. You saw my skin and assumed I was nobody." The Goldman Sachs CEO, Jonathan Pierce, pushed through the crowd. He stopped in front of Danna and did something that made Victoria Gilmore nearly faint. He bowed. "Ms. Richards, I've been hoping to meet you for years. Your algorithmic trading platform revolutionized our industry." More executives pressed forward, each recognizing her now. The mysterious woman who'd disrupted Silicon Valley, who'd turned down a presidential advisory position, who'd ghost-written the legislation that reformed tech monopolies. The Singapore deal? That was you? The Beijing restructuring? The climate fund that saved Morocco? Yes, yes, yes. All Danna. Charlotte's phone showed her Instagram followers dropping by thousands. The socialite was being abandoned in real time as news spread. The Gilmores had insulted the wrong woman. "But why?" Bristol's voice cracked like a teenager's. "Why hide this?" "Because I wanted to be loved for who I am, not what I own." Danna's eyes found his. "I wanted someone who would stand up for me when I had nothing. You failed." Victoria's phone rang. The board of directors. She answered with shaking fingers. "What do you mean we're in breach? What do you mean she owns us?" Marcus pulled out a document. "Section 47B of your contract. Any act of discrimination, harassment, or hostile behavior toward DD Holdings representatives voids the agreement, with penalties." "I didn't know she was—" "Irrelevant. You harassed Ms. Gillespie. We have recordings." Marcus held up his phone. "The champagne incident, the slurs, the threats to call ICE, all documented." The wedding photographer, who'd been recording video for the ceremony, slowly lowered his camera. He'd captured everything, every insult, every humiliation. "You recorded us?" Eleanor's aged voice cracked. "You threatened my mother." Danna's voice could have frozen hell. "You weaponized my brother's pain. You mocked my father's death. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences?" A young black woman in the crowd started clapping. Slowly, deliberately. Others joined. The service workers, the plus ones, the people who'd been invisible to the Gilmores. But the powerful stayed silent. They were calculating, reassessing, realigning. DD Holdings controlled more than real estate. They had contracts with Apple, Google, Microsoft. They held patents that could revolutionize or destroy entire industries. They were the invisible hand that moved markets, and the Gilmores had just declared war on them. Bristol reached for Danna again. "Please, we can fix this." "No. She removed her engagement ring, 5 carats of meaningless carbon. We can't. She placed it on the altar, under the eyes of God and 500 witnesses. Your family taught me something valuable, Bristol. Power isn't inherited, it's earned, and those who abuse it deserve to lose everything. Victoria's phone rang again, and again, and again, each call bringing worse news, partners withdrawing, banks calling loans, stock price plummeting. The empire was collapsing in real time. Please. Victoria Gilmore, the woman who'd never begged for anything, fell to her knees. Please don't do this. You did this to yourself. Danna walked toward the cathedral doors. Marcus followed, fielding calls from major firms wanting to confirm they weren't also targets. The crowd parted, some in fear, some in awe. At the threshold, Danna turned back one final time. You asked if someone from Brooklyn could understand your world? She smiled, the smile of someone who'd already won. I understand it perfectly. That's why I'm destroying it. The cathedral doors closed with a sound like thunder. Inside, the Gilmore family stood in the ruins of their arrogance. Outside, Danna Richards stepped into sunlight, finally free to be herself. The cathedral steps transformed into a media battleground. News vans materialized like vultures. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Someone had leaked everything to the press in real time. Danna stood at the top of the steps, wedding dress brilliant in afternoon sun. Below her, Manhattan stretched out, a kingdom of glass and steel she secretly controlled. Ms. Richards, is it true you own DD Holdings? Ms. Richards, did you plan this from the beginning? She raised one hand. Silence fell like a curtain. Yes, I am Danna Richards, CEO of Danna Dynamics. The confirmation exploded across social media. Danna Richards trending worldwide in seconds. Gilmore collapsed right behind it. Victoria burst through the cathedral doors, mascara streaming black rivers down her cheeks. You manipulative bitch, you planned this. Every camera turned. Live feeds activated. The world watched Victoria Gilmore unravel. I planned nothing. I fell in love with your son. You decided I wasn't worthy. You're not worthy. You're trash from Brooklyn. I'm the woman who saved your empire 6 months ago. Danna's voice carried perfect calm. Check your records. When Gilmore Industries was 48 hours from bankruptcy, who provided the bridge loan? Bristol emerged, his perfect hair disheveled. What? DD Holdings, me. I saved you. Marcus stepped forward, iPad displaying financial records. $800 million, terms, 60% equity in Manhattan Plaza, signed by Victoria Gilmore. The cameras captured everything. Victoria's shock, Bristol's confusion, the truth unfolding like origami in reverse. You were failing. Danna addressed the cameras now, knowing this was streaming globally. The Gilmore empire, built on 5 generations of excellence, was actually drowning in debt. Bad investments, fraud, embezzlement by board members. Lies! Victoria screamed. I have the forensic accounting. Marcus pulled up documents. Shall I read them? The offshore accounts? The tax evasion? The bribes to Senator Morrison? Morrison, standing in the crowd, went white. I bought your debt to save 8,000 jobs. Your employees were going to lose everything because of your family's greed. A reporter shouted, Why didn't you reveal yourself then? Because I wanted to know who I was marrying, the real Bristol, the one who would love a woman from Brooklyn with nothing. She looked at Bristol. The cameras followed her gaze. But you never loved me. You loved the idea of rebellion, dating someone your mother hated. When it got hard, when it required courage, you folded. That's not, Bristol started. You stood silent while she called me a ghetto whore. The slur echoed across live television. News anchors scrambled to apologize for the language. Charlotte tried to pull her mother back. Mom, stop. You're making it worse. Worse? Victoria laughed hysterically. She stole everything. I took nothing. I'm simply enforcing the contract you signed. Danna pulled out her phone. As of 3 minutes ago, I officially terminated our partnership. You have 72 hours to vacate the Manhattan Plaza project. You can't do that! Section 47B, you violated it. Publicly, repeatedly, on camera. The crowd of guests had followed them outside. Wall Street titans calculating new alliances, socialites deleting photos with the Gilmores, the powerful abandoning the powerless. But this goes deeper, Danna's voice rose. The Gilmore family built their fortune on discrimination, redlining in the 60s, refusing to rent to black families. Your grandfather had a no-colors policy until 1991. That's ancient history. Your employment records show 0 black executives. 0, in a company of 3,000. Victoria's face went from red to white. Our hiring is merit-based. Your emails suggest otherwise. Marcus held up printed pages. Shall I read the one where you called diverse candidates quota fillers? The empire wasn't just crumbling. It was being systematically demolished. Please, Bristol finally spoke. Danna, I'm sorry, I love you. No, you loved owning something your mother couldn't buy. But I'm not property. I'm not a rebellion. I'm not a phase. She descended the steps. Each footfall echoed. I'm Danna Richards. I built an empire from nothing while your family inherited everything and squandered it. At the bottom of the steps, she turned back. The wedding gift I prepared? $100 million foundation for Brooklyn kids to attend MIT. It would have been in the Gilmore name. Your legacy could have been redemption. She smiled. Now it'll be in my father's name. The man who died because people like you thought his life had no value. The last Gilmore Trust Fund just became worthless. Their collapse was complete. The Manhattan Plaza boardroom occupied the top floor of a building the Gilmores no longer owned. 72 hours had passed. The evacuation deadline. Danna sat at the head of the conference table wearing a simple black suit. No more hiding. Behind her, floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city she'd conquered. The Gilmore family entered like prisoners approaching judgment. Victoria had aged years in 3 days. Bristol's Harvard confidence had evaporated. Charlotte clutched her phone, watching her follower count plummet toward 0. Sit. Danna's voice held no emotion. They sat, the mighty Gilmores reduced to supplicants. Marcus distributed documents. The termination paperwork, sign, and you can walk away with minimal personal assets intact. Minimal? Victoria's voice cracked. We'll have nothing. You'll have the townhouse. $2 million in protected trusts. More than most Americans see in a lifetime. That's poverty. That's perspective. Bristol hadn't looked at Danna once. His hands shook as he read the documents. Every page detailed another loss. The developments in Chicago, gone. The Miami towers, transferred. The European partnerships, dissolved. There's something else. Danna pulled out a small velvet box. The engagement ring. 5 carats of perfect clarity. I bought this myself, with my own money. You never knew that, did you, Bristol? You assumed you paid. She set it on the table. The diamond caught the light, throwing rainbows across walls that had witnessed 5 generations of Gilmore deals. Keep it. Consider it a reminder. When you could have had everything, you chose nothing. Charlotte finally spoke. You're enjoying this. No, I'm finishing it. There's a difference? Your family spent 6 months torturing me. I'm ending it in 3 days. That's mercy. Victoria's phone buzzed. The family lawyer. She answered desperately. Can we contest this? There must be something. The speaker carried the lawyer's response. Mrs. Gilmore, she owns the building you're sitting in, the chair beneath you, the air rights above you. Sign the papers. Bristol suddenly stood. I need to say something. Everyone turned. I was a coward. His voice broke. When Mom threw champagne on you, when she called you those things, I stood there, silent, complicit. Yes, I told myself I was keeping peace, protecting you from worse. You were protecting yourself. I know. Tears ran down his perfect face. I know now. When the world saw who you really were, I felt relieved, like I'd been vindicated. She's rich, so loving her is acceptable now. Danna said nothing. But that's the poison, isn't it? I only felt brave when you had power. I never deserved you, not because of money, because of character. He signed the papers, his signature surrendering an empire built on exploitation. Can I ask one thing? Danna waited. Was any of it real? Did you ever love me? For the first time in 3 days, her mask slipped. Pain flickered across her features. I loved who I thought you were. A man who saw past surface things, who'd stand against prejudice, who'd protect the woman he claimed to love. She stood, gathering strength. But that man never existed. I fell in love with my own projection. Victoria laughed bitterly. So we're all fools. No. You're exactly who I thought you were. That's why you're losing everything. Marcus's phone chimed. Ms. Richards, the press is waiting. The press conference, where Danna would announce the transformation of Manhattan Plaza into affordable housing, where the Gilmore legacy would become a monument to their failure. Wait. Victoria stood shakily. I need to know. The champagne. At the engagement party. Did you know then? Who you were? I've always known who I am. That's not what I mean. I know what you mean. Danna moved toward the door. You want to know if I could have stopped this? If showing my power earlier would have changed how you treated me? She paused at the threshold. It would have. That's precisely why I didn't. The door opened. Beyond it, cameras waited. The world waited. Your true character is what you do to people you think can't fight back. You showed me yours. She left them there. 3 people who'd had everything, who'd lost it all because they'd confused cruelty with class. The wedding that never happened would be remembered forever, not for the vows that weren't spoken, but for the empire that fell. Charlotte posted one final Instagram story. We were wrong. It got 5 likes. Nobody cared about the Gilmores anymore, but everyone would remember Danna Richards. The press conference drew 300 journalists to the Gilmore Industries building, now officially renamed Richards Tower. CNN, BBC, Bloomberg, every major outlet cramming into an auditorium that once hosted Gilmore charity galas. Danna walked onto the stage. No wedding dress, no champagne stains, just a woman who'd built an empire and torn down another. Good afternoon. I'm Danna Richards, CEO of Danna Dynamics. The cameras rolled. The world watched. 72 hours ago, I terminated our partnership with Gilmore Industries. Today, I announce what comes next. Behind her, screens displayed architectural renderings. Manhattan Plaza, reimagined. This $40 billion project will become the largest affordable housing initiative in New York history. 30,000 units, rent-controlled, priority given to essential workers, including building maintenance staff. The room erupted. Questions flying like bullets. Ms. Richards, how can this be profitable? She smiled. It doesn't need to be. I have $50 billion. I can afford principals. Marcus stepped forward with folders. We're also releasing all Gilmore Industries' internal communications from the past decade. Discrimination lawsuits they buried, safety violations they covered up, tax evasion schemes. The journalists lunged for the documents like sharks tasting blood. Holy shit! They refused to hire a woman because she was pregnant? They fired someone for being Muslim? They knowingly used asbestos in low-income housing? Each revelation another nail in the Gilmore coffin. Furthermore, Danna continued, we're establishing the Jerome Gillespie Foundation. $100 million annually for formerly incarcerated individuals seeking education, named for my brother, who the Gilmores tried to weaponize against me. The social media explosion was immediate. Justice for Jerome trending globally. The Danna Gillespie Memorial Fund will provide legal representation for victims of police violence. The Maria Gillespie Scholarship will send children of maintenance workers to Ivy League schools. Every name the Gilmores had mocked becoming a monument to their defeat. Victoria burst through the security line. Guards moved to stop her, but Danna raised a hand. Let her through. Victoria stumbled onto stage, designer clothes replaced with off-the-rack substitutes. You're destroying our name, our history. I'm correcting history. My family built this city. Your family built nothing. They inherited, they exploited, they extracted. Danna turned to the cameras. The Gilmore fortune began with Jacob Gilmore in 1876. He made his money through convict leasing, slavery by another name. Every generation since has perpetuated that exploitation. She pulled up records on the screens. Census data, bank documents, court records. 1924, William Gilmore led housing covenants excluding black families. 1955, Charles Gilmore fought integration with private security forces. 1987, Richard Gilmore was recorded calling his black employees necessary evils. 2010, Victoria Gilmore personally rejected every diverse candidate for executive positions. The evidence cascaded like an avalanche. This isn't just about me, it's about every person your family deemed worthless. A notification flashed on her phone. She smiled. And it seems the market agrees. Gilmore Industries stock just hit zero, trading suspended permanently. Victoria collapsed into a chair someone provided. The mighty matriarch reduced to ruins. Bristol appeared at the back of the room. He'd been there the whole time, Danna realized, watching his world burn. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Gilmore, any comment?" He approached the microphone. Danna didn't stop him. "I'm not a Gilmore anymore." His voice barely carried. "I've legally changed my name to Bristol Richards." Gasps rippled through the room. "Not because I deserve the association, but as penance. Every time someone calls me Mr. Richards, I'll remember what I lost through cowardice." He looked at Danna. "I've liquidated my trust fund. $20 million. It's being donated to your foundations. All of it." Victoria screamed. "You can't. That money is family." "We have no family." Bristol's voice gained strength. "We had a dynasty built on others' suffering. Danna didn't destroy us. She revealed us." He walked to his mother, knelt beside her. "We're done, Mother. The Gilmore name dies today." Marcus announced, "Ms. Richards has one more announcement." Danna returned to the microphone. DD Holdings is launching a national initiative. We're buying distressed properties in every major city, converting them to affordable housing, prioritizing families affected by discrimination. The screens showed a map, hundreds of locations marked. "We're calling it the Dignity Project, because everyone deserves dignity, everyone deserves respect, everyone deserves a chance." A black journalist in the front row started clapping, then another. Then the entire room, except Victoria, who sat frozen in her designer chair that wasn't designer anymore. "Questions?" Every hand shot up. But the first question came from Bristol, still kneeling by his broken mother. "Will you ever forgive me?" Danna looked at him. The man who'd been her weakness, her blindness, her almost destruction. "Forgiveness isn't mine to give. Ask the 8,000 employees you would have let suffer. Ask my mother, who you watched being humiliated. Ask every person your silence enabled to be hurt." She gathered her papers. "The Gilmore empire is dead. The Richards legacy begins now." She walked off stage. Behind her, Victoria Gilmore sat in the ruins of 5 generations. Ahead of her, Danna Richards stepped into a future she'd built herself. 1 year later, Brownsville bloomed with spring warmth. The neighborhood that Victoria Gilmore had spit like a curse now hosted the opening of the Maria Gillespie Community Center. Danna stood in her mother's apartment, the same rent-controlled unit where she'd grown up. No penthouse, no mansion, just home. Maria Gillespie sat at her kitchen table, hands no longer cracked from cleaning chemicals. She wore a simple dress and a smile that could light Brooklyn. "You sure you want to do the speech, baby?" "You deserve to be celebrated, Mom. I cleaned toilets. You survived. You sacrificed. You built me." Maria's eyes filled. "Your father would be so proud." The mention of him still ached. Thomas Gillespie, denied care at 3 hospitals, wrong insurance, wrong color, wrong zip code, dead at 41 from a treatable condition. "He's why I did this, Mom. Him and you." Outside, crowds gathered. The community center would provide free health care, legal aid, job training, everything Brownsville needed but never got. Marcus knocked. "Ms. Richards, it's time." They walked through streets Danna had played in as a child, past the corner where Deshaun was shot, past the basketball court where Jerome was arrested, past the McDonald's where she'd worked 16-hour shifts. "You know Bristol's here," Marcus said quietly. She'd seen him, standing at the back, still wearing his penance name, Bristol Richards. He'd spent the year working, actually working, construction, 12-hour days rebuilding what his family destroyed. "Let him watch." The ceremony platform stood where a Gilmore-owned slum once rotted. Now a gleaming community center rose, glass and steel and hope. The crowd erupted as Danna appeared. Her people, the cleaners, the drivers, the cashiers, the invisible army that made the city run. "A year ago," she began, "a woman threw champagne on me for daring to love her son." The crowd listened, silent. "She said I didn't belong in her world. She was right. I belong in a better one." She gestured to the center. "This is my world, where mothers like mine are heroes, where fathers like mine are mourned, where children like I was have chances." Maria joined her on stage. The crowd exploded. Everyone knew Maria, the woman who'd cleaned their offices, their schools, their hospitals, who'd never complained, never stopped smiling, never gave up. "My mother taught me dignity isn't given, it's carried. In your spine when they try to break you. In your hands when they say you're worthless. In your heart when they deny your humanity." She pulled out her phone. "I want to show you something." The screens displayed an email from Victoria Gilmore, sent yesterday. "Please, I'm living in a studio apartment, eating ramen, working as a cashier. This isn't right. Have mercy." The crowd stirred, angry. She wants mercy. Danna's voice carried across Brownsville. "The woman who threatened to deport my mother wants mercy." She deleted the email publicly. "Mercy is for those who show it. Justice is what she earned." But then she pulled up another email. From Bristol. "I don't want forgiveness. I want to inform you that I've spent the year learning. I've built houses with my hands. I've cleaned buildings overnight. I've lived on minimum wage. I understand now. The Gilmore money was blood money. Thank you for taking it away." She looked at him across the crowd. He stood among construction workers, hands calloused, designer clothes replaced with work boots and jeans. He nodded once, not seeking anything, just witnessing. "Some people learn," she said. "Others just lose." The ribbon cutting came next. Maria held the giant scissors, tears streaming. "This is for everyone who was told they were nothing." Maria's voice shook. "You're everything." The ribbon fell. The doors opened. The future began. Later, as the sun set over Brooklyn, Danna stood on the roof looking at Manhattan's skyline. She owned much of it now, but she lived here, home. Marcus joined her. "The Times wants an interview, from Brownsville to billions." "No." "No? My story isn't about money. It's about worth. The difference between the two is everything." Below them, children played in the community center, laughing, learning, living. The Gilmores thought power meant making others feel powerless. But real power? She watched her mother teaching children to read in the library below. Real power is lifting others up. Bristol appeared on the street below, heading to his night shift at the construction site. He looked up, saw her, and kept walking. No wave, no gesture, just acceptance of what was. "Do you miss him?" Marcus asked. "I miss who I thought he was. But that person never existed." She turned from the skyline. "Come on, Mom's making dinner, you're invited." They descended into warmth, into family, into a life built on truth instead of lies. 5 years passed. The Richards Foundation reached every state. 30 million lives changed. The Gilmore name appeared only in history books, cautionary tales in business schools about pride before the fall. Danna stood before the United Nations General Assembly, the kid from Brownsville addressing the world. "They asked me how I built an empire worth 60 billion. Wrong question. Ask why I nearly lost myself trying to join theirs." The assembly listened. Presidents and prime ministers, the powerful and those who served them. Every day, someone is told they're worthless because of their skin, their accent, their zip code, their parents' jobs. She thought of that wedding dress, still hanging in her closet, still stained with champagne, kept as reminder. Victoria Gilmore did me a favor. She showed me that acceptance from oppressors is worthless. Power taken from others is hollow. Legacy built on hate crumbles. Bristol watched from Copenhagen, where he ran homeless shelters. He'd sent one letter, once. "Thank you for destroying who I was." She never replied. Victoria Gilmore died last winter, alone. A studio apartment in Queens. The obituary ran 3 lines. No one attended the funeral. "Build your own table, create your own legacy, define your own worth." The assembly rose, standing ovation from those who understood, polite applause from those who didn't. Later in Brooklyn, Danna ate dinner with her mother. Simple food, rich life. "You changed the world, baby." "No, Mom, I just stopped asking permission to exist." Her phone buzzed. Another company wanting to partner. Another billionaire seeking advice. Another magazine wanting her story. She turned it off. Success isn't proving them wrong. It's forgetting they exist. Outside, children played in streets once branded worthless. Buildings rose where slums once rotted. Hope grew where despair once ruled. The girl from Brownsville who wasn't supposed to matter had rewritten the rules. And somewhere, in every city, someone else was starting their own revolution. Have you ever been told you're not enough? Comment "I am worthy" below. Subscribe to hear more stories of power reclaimed. Part 2 coming soon, Bristol's redemption journey. The champagne stain never washed out. She never tried to wash it. Some stains are meant to remind us who we really are.